like I say, I may bring a dog in the door, and we may sit down, have a cup of coffee, you know, because this dog's just going to stand there at that door and just scan the place. He's not about to go in, because if he's not comfortable coming in, I'm not achieving anything. And that's when it gets back to being careful about what I'm teaching this dog to do in behavior. So if I don't do anything and let the dog get comfortable, you know, then he will now, his instincts will kick in and he'll start to actually hunt, because I already made the odor important to him. If I do anything else, then I'm teaching him a behavior. And that's what happens. And that's in the classes especially, because our classes are an hour and a half. And we'll use usually 16s. 16s in an hour and a half. You haven't got time to have one dog take 15 minutes to do a search. It should have taken him 3 seconds. You know? So that's the problem with that. So what I like to do is evaluate it and then decide, okay, and I explain to the student what we're going to have to do, how to do it, and then go home and do it that way, and then see what we come up with. Because most of the time you're not going to have that opportunity or that luxury of spending 15 minutes on one dog. But yet, as instructors, you need to do that, either with your own dogs or pick times and places, especially if you do what we call privates, the special where you're just working with one team. Really work on it that way, because you need to see more and more about how can I affect the environment to get the whole speed up the process a little bit, because you can. You can realize right away the dog is just a little apprehensive about what he's smelling in here. Now, it could be, okay, he's a little apprehensive more about the boats, the wood, the gas, things like that. Or is it really the mice, rats, etc.? In fact, various things of why this dog will be a little apprehensive. And once you can figure out how to do it and adjust that environment, I can reduce that apprehension, and now the dog goes back to work faster. You know, but you can't do that always in an hour and a half class. So, does that answer what? Yeah, but that's why I like doing. You got to remember, when I do professionals, we have 8 or 10 or 12-hour days, and they never know how long it's going to be, because it all depends on the dog. But we got 4 dogs, 4 teams that we're going to train, and we train for 10 and 12 hours, because it's going to take that long to get what we want done. You know? Not because the dog's going to work 12 hours solid, because you're not going to do it. But it takes us 12-hour time block to get that much work done accordingly.
Yesterday evening we had the training in here, and we had quite physical heights close to each other. I mean, 2 meters away, but reasonably close, and they were really hidden, not visible to the dog if it was a camera or something. My dog, for example, is going up a little bit in stress when he feels both of them, like a conflict between those two. Any hints on how to work with that?
Yeah. I usually set things up like that, because you got that breeze coming in, it's going to pick up both odors and move them. So if he gets downwind, he always smells and knows right away where his odors are at, and then may or may not select in his way which one he wants first, but then he wants the second one after that. And that's what you're trying to work with. And sometimes that's that little bit of, when I talk about I am going to step in and try to control the dog a little bit, because if I do that, what am I really doing? Creating him a problem. Because if I'm going to try to control him, he wants this height, and I'm going to control him so he can't get to that one. I need you to take this one. That's control I'm putting on him. I'm not training him. What I am is exposing him to the fact that I'm probably a stupid human, and during a trial, when I don't know where those are at, I'm going to do that to him. See what I mean? So now he's exposed to the fact that, all right, I'm patient. This knucklehead human will let me move on eventually. Learning the problem solving.
So you're going to stay and hold, let him work out one person.
Yeah, he can work them, and sometimes when he's off leash, he'll do it on his own. I can't stop him there. But once he's on leash, there's control. You know? And I have to get this dog to understand there's a way to control me, you know, the human, by just doing what he needs to do accordingly, without it being something I'm teaching him to do.
And you accept them a little bit of increased intensity for a while.
Good. Good.
Until it calms down and has focus and take on.
Yeah. Because you'll see that's the frustration I see. I use frustration with the dog a lot. Because in the dog's world like that, frustration really is a learning process for him. That's how his instincts kick in. As soon as he gets too frustrated, he gets instinctive about things. That's why we have many of you, if you do bite inhibition and things with the dog, you get them frustrated enough, they'll bite. You know, that's what happens. So you learn how to adjust that frustration and stuff just enough so that we know when. Like, don't put any more frustration on him because he's going to turn on you. You know? And that's what we want to teach a lot of our protection dog people, how to avoid, you know, because we're not supposed to be getting bit. You know? And it's not natural for a dog to bite us, period. We have to teach them it's okay at certain times, but you also need to teach them it's not okay. You know? And that's when that inhibition, you know, starts to work out. And you can do that, or I do it, quite frequently through frustration. But that frustration is all it is to the dog is a problem. And he's going to solve it. Dogs do not walk away from a problem either to solve. But that's what I work it on. Okay. Come on. Everybody, all right. So it'll be an interesting day then. All right.
I have one little question more. This thing about pairing the odor with a treat, with a reward, when do you actually do that? For example, yesterday we tried and the dog was really, really clearly marking it's up here, it's up here. Well, how far do you let the dog go before you actually take down the reward and say, here it is? How much do you expect the dog to go further up and further up before you actually take the treat down?
That has to be a communication thing. You have to understand if you're clear what this dog is trying to say, then that's when you're rewarding.
Okay.
For me. It's very important for me to do what I call the self-rewarding or pairing. It's synonymous terms. Because when you self-reward that dog, you're taking a human out of the picture. The dog is hunting now, just like he does instinctually and naturally. When he finds that odor, boom, there's already a reward there. He just has to go get it, and he get it. The problem you can have with that is that he will find it and go on. You know, he'll take his food and go on. That's the one reason why you remember when we start with the students. As soon as the dog finds it, even though he's self-rewarding, and you do that for the timing purposes, because no human being has got, and I'm good, but I don't have the timing to actually good, same as that dog can when it's self-rewarding. Because I can say, as he's coming along, sticks his head down near the rabbit hole, I go, good boy. Well, that's about 10 seconds too late because he's already thinking, as he comes up to look at me with a rabbit in his mouth. You know, he's had for 10 seconds before I yell, good boy at him. You know, so you can't ever get the timing in there. But if it's self-rewarding to him, he has a perfect timing. He is always going to be good at perfect timing. You don't have to tell him he's right when he's got the rabbit in his mouth. So that's why when he's self-rewarding, we step in, good boy. That little bit of delay we have then. Now, what I'm doing is I'm very subtly teaching this dog, you communicate and you get rewarded. That's what it is. Now, don't take that as behavior modification because and that's like where the clicker comes in. People say, that's when to click. Why are you clicking? You know, because what am I going to do? Are you going to click during a competition? You're going to click during the field? No. That usually fades back out. As that fades back out, it's like, why did you put it in to begin with? You know, because you didn't need it. That's why I talk about clicker. It's not needed. It's just not needed. It's too good a tool for other purposes. But so when that dog comes in, the handler then rewards. Now the dog understands, if I tell the handler about it, I'm going to get rewarded. So besides me finding it, there it is, and I tell the handler, I get rewarded. Because now, when it's not self-rewarded, and it's just the odor by itself, he's going to tell the handler, isn't he? Because the handler, he can't get a rabbit himself because there's no rabbit there. But the odor's there, so right away, tells the handler, boom. And now, you see how that's how we get the chain of the communication in. Because otherwise, a lot of dogs will pick up the reward and keep right on hunting, which is what they should do naturally. That's their natural instinct, to grab their food and keep going. Now, they don't care about the human, and that's good in the sense that we've brought the instinct up, but it's bad in the sense that now we don't know where the hell the hide is. So that's why it's like when he starts climbing up the wall and stuff, you're not sure about exactly where that hide is. Because once it's above the dog's head, he's only guessing, basically, about where the odor is coming from. Does not know where it's at until it's in his mouth. So therefore, you're going to get that today. I'm going to set it up so that when that dog goes up under that hide, you're going to have several objects. And if I ask you which one's it in, they go, okay, you're not sure because the dog hasn't got the right one. But in some cases, you can't expect the dog to do that unless he can get all the way up there. So that's the reason why, again, like I say, when I self-reward a dog or a pair, it's never where that dog can't get to. It's always got to be where the dog can get to it. So that way he will always go right to source, always right to source. So then now I turn it around and I put it up on the top of this thing in one of those black little box looking things. He's going to climb the side of this thing and then sit down. And you're going to say, alert, and I'm going to say, which box? Then what is that? Now it's a guess. And it would be a guess for the dog too, because he doesn't know exactly which one. He does know the odor's coming down to him, but he doesn't know which one until he gets up there and starts examining each one.
But what do you actually do then, if you have in a competition like that?
In a competition, we'd accept that.
Okay.
We do, because it's impossible for the dog to know for sure exactly. He does know, but he doesn't know. That's why I said the instinct tells him it's coming from up here, but I need to get there to tell you exactly where. And he can't get there. So that's when you call alert. And the dog understands how to communicate that to the handler, and that's the training side to it for us later. But in the competition, when he does that, that's that high level of competition. They don't go up above your head like that until you get it to the upper levels of competition. And then because like us in narcotics, same thing. I mean, there's no difference when my dog is working for narcotics out there until I get to a school. When I get to a school, he's got to tell me exactly which locker. Not it, well, it's in one of these 5 lockers. Well, that's 5 kids. I can't accuse them all. And besides, you accuse my kid, and he's not using dope, I'm going to be pissed. And that's what happens. So you better be sure on that right locker. And that's why when we work on it, to be able to come up and then work it in such a way so that dog is a lot more accurate. So that's why we work this like that. You can say, yeah, for us, for the competition and the fun of it, that, yeah, that's a good alert, because it is, that hide is up so high that he can't get to it. But when you're training, don't try to push. That's when we start talking about being too sensitive for the students. You keep it fun. Just keep it fun. Because nobody's going to jail, nobody's going to die. Well,
you never work with the accuracy as you would do with training narcotic dogs. You never work with that. No. I
don't push it. You're going to get it. You're going to get a lot of that same exact accuracy really well, because that's the instinct of the dog. Because the dog's not satisfied. You'll say, oh, good boy, and the dog will, you stay there, because they don't like leaving one behind them. They really don't. That's the instinct coming in. And that was part of what we were talking about. When you have multiple or 2 hides like that together, you watch how the dog instinctively knows he's got how many hides he's got, and when he's past one, he does not like leaving it behind him. He'll take the reward on this one and then turn around and try to go back to that one. That's the instinct. When I do that, and I set it up in classes that way, I set it up just for that purpose, so the students start to learn the instincts of the dog. But if I can't get the instinct to come up in that dog and just really push against the student, the student's never going to learn. Instead, the student's just going to learn behavior things. So, did I reward to the right or did I reward to the left? It doesn't matter. The instinct of the dog is what I'm trying to work up to get the fun out of it. Because if you can't bring those instincts up, you're not going to have anywhere near the fun. At least I don't. So, That answer?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Yeah, today that's one of the things we're going to work on today is it's not really higher highs, but anything that's above where that dog can get to becomes a higher height. Doesn't matter if it's 16 feet, 60 feet, or 6 feet above this dog's head. He knows where it's coming from, but he doesn't know exactly where it's at. And so that we're going to work on that today a little bit. Okay, other things. Other discussion. Good. All right. Today, to begin with, we're going to go deeper into here. And so two things. One of them is when you're working with your dog, watch for things that could or could not be dangerous to your dog specifically. And be careful with it. I kind of walked around and looked at it, and it's not too bad. But there are some things laying around and things that will happen. I don't want somebody getting hurt, and I don't want your dog getting hurt. So just always watch for safety anytime you're in this kind of environment. Because we're going to do some low highs, some deep highs, and some high highs. Those three in here today, this morning. And we've got
Linda coming up first, and then it's Katrin.
but you got 10 dogs, I think?
9.
9?
9. Linda, Katrin, Anna-Lot,
Okay.
Johanna and